So today we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic luxury ready-to-wear pieces out there. That's right, we're going to be talking about the Balmain blazer. Now I know that every luxury lover out there probably owns one of these, and most, if not all, luxury YouTubers have talked about this in at least one video on their channel. Now, as you can see, I only have 2 blazers currently in my possession. Technically 3, but I gave one to my mum. But I actually just recently purchased a new blazer, and it is this one right here, this beautiful navy blue. And I got it for such a steal of a price for an item that, frankly, love it or loathe it, think it is incredibly popular. It has remained that way for many years now. That's reflected in the demand and also the ever-increasing price points. And actually, at the time of filming, I've just checked the prices online, and they have gone from what used to be under the 4-figure mark, compared to fast forward a few years to today. Now these blazers are going for upwards of £1,850. Some people are thinking that it is not worth the spend. In fact, regardless of the price, some people think that this blazer is frankly just a bit plain, just a bit basic. So that is why, putting the blazers down to save a little bit of arm ache, I wanted to make today's video about what it is like owning them, whether they are worth the money, just in case this particular blazer has been on your wish list for some time. Hopefully this video is helpful. So obviously blazers are nothing new in the grand scheme of things. From my earliest memories of seeing my mum and dad go to work in a blazer, to me wearing one at secondary school, and then fast forward to me myself going to wear blazers to work as well. And least of all in the early noughties anyway, blazers were just creeping into the fashion scene as something that could be worn outside of that workwear environment, and also obviously by women. And it was only around the late 2000s that Balmain even ventured into the world of blazers. To my knowledge, they had been pretty much an evening wear or dress maker kind of brand. Until then, there was a fashion trend of these colourful blazers coming in from various designers, and then the creative director at the time, who I believe is Christophe Decarnin. Basically, during Decarnin's tenure at Balmain, he launched the iconic blazer that we all know and love today. And it just became a smash hit. And it launched as a statement piece to complement the evening wear, the dresses that Balmain had already had in their roster. But it was instantly a smash hit, even just outside of that. And as you can see, even today, women are wearing them not just over their dresses or in a work context, but they're wearing them in more casual environments to really up an outfit without it being super flashy or in your face. And over the years, the blazer was less and less sold as a complement to Balmain's dresses, but more as a standalone item, and it has done tremendously well. Probably one of the most iconic silhouettes, despite the fact that there's no obviously discerning logos. And obviously there are several features about it that make it Balmain. In fact, let me read you out the laundry list of characteristics that make a Balmain blazer distinctly Balmain. We have got here notched lapels, we've got the double-breasted button closure, which is very iconic, and you've also got 5-button cuffs here on the side, beautiful gold buttons with the distinctive lion as well. You've got padded shoulders, which are really power shoulders, they're not OTT. Then you've got 1 breast pocket, you've got 2 front flat pockets, and 1 internal pocket. And in fact, for this particular blazer, the build of this one is 100% virgin wool. And this particular blazer right here is actually a blend of viscose and wool. It is a little bit heavier than the pure wool one, and as you can tell, if I bring this up close, it's got that kind of line detail here, which makes it a little bit different. Balmain, obviously, aside from the more classic colorways like these ones, will release some kooky, more fun prints and fun materials. So there's always something new each season. So now moving on to the ways to wear these blazers, I personally think they are super versatile. That is their biggest selling. So the light blazer here that I have goes perfectly with beautiful summer dresses. I have some beautiful Dolce & Gabbana and Zimmermann dresses that this blazer perfectly complement. And then conversely, we have this navy blazer, which I haven't worn dresses just yet because this blazer is quite thick, which I'll come on to later, but it is the perfect complement, I think, to work dresses, autumn winter attire as well. So then outside of that, obviously you've probably seen the iconic styling of Balmain blazer, white tee and denim jeans. It is quite a nice easy outfit for when you can't be bothered to put much effort or don't have the brain power to do so. I personally love throwing that outfit on, and I've done that a couple of times with this one in particular because navy is quite a hard wearing and more forgiving colour. In fact, I recently bought myself a beautiful classic black in navy, and I must say wearing these together is such a smash hit. They are a match made in heaven. I didn't even realise that I was buying basically the same shade. But actually what I want to move on to, and I think you will find the most helpful and interesting, is the pros and cons part of this video. And as you can probably tell from the way I'm talking about this blazer, I personally really love it. The reason why I invested in another one of these blazers just recently, I'm going to keep banging this drum, is that this is an iconic blazer. It is not going anywhere in my opinion. I will personally still keep wearing this blazer, and I think I can still get away with wearing this blazer till I'm like 70. I'm gonna look like the chicest granny out there. Now, not to jump on some sort of popularity bandwagon or anything, that's not a good enough reason to buy something, but I do think, the brand aside, it is very good looking in terms of the style, the fit. I feel like it works on every body shape as well. Obviously you've got to make sure that you get the sizing correct and everything on your shoulders so it doesn't look squished like a potato or something, but generally it suits a lot of shapes and sizes. Now, the second reason that I love this blazer is because of the quality. I think the quality of both blazers that I have, and indeed the one I even gave to my mum, are incredibly thick. They are incredibly well made. It's something really that I cannot describe to you until you actually go ahead into a store or buy one yourself online and feel the quality of this blazer compared to the one that I have on me from Zara. There is just a marked difference in thickness. You know, the weight of it just screams quality. And it's not weight like, oh my god, it's so heavy, because once you put it on it distributes, but there's just something about it that you really just have to go, and I highly recommend that you go, if you haven't already, try one on. I feel like a lot of people throw it out so easily, you know, the fact that it is expensive and people think that you're wasting your own money, but once you actually go and feel the blazer for yourself and try it on and, you know, walk around in it for a few moments, then you'll realize like it's worth the money for the quality. Third point, the reason why I love the blazer so much is that you can get it for cheaper than the retail price of currently, you know, $1,850. It's crazy money, which I prefer personally not to pay. And I didn't have to pay them. This I got for like a 30% off Harrods discount sale. It was like a sale preview event. They still hold them. I highly recommend, if you're UK based or close to London, that you go and check it out, because I got this for about just over £1,000, and that was a few years ago. And then fast forward to now, I bought this navy blazer on Louisa Via Roma, which I buy a lot of my luxury from as well. So this one was listed at the time for $1,750. Obviously it's since grown in price, and then I found online a flash discount code. It was like A40 or something, and it was on their non-starred items, if you know about that fiasco of like finding items that don't have a little star on it, because those are excluded. But these blazers were not excluded, which I find personally remarkable. So I got this for £875. So I had to pay for shipping, which I personally think in this day and age when we're spending this amount of money, Louisa Via Roma, what is up with that? But £875 for a Balmain blazer compared to this one, which, okay, it's a bit thicker, quality, etc. But I bought that one for £1,000 several years ago. I mean, even considering inflation and things, This one to me is a steal. There are always ways to get discounts if you know where to find them. Certainly on my channel I talk a lot about getting things, if not for discount, then getting some sort of loyalty and promotion. Anytime a big retailer has a sale, of which every year we all know the iconic sales, and you can look on other third-party websites or outlet stores for discounts where they're not necessarily online. So I highly recommend you do that and get a good deal, because these Balmain blazers are not necessarily always super expensive. Another reason that I really love the Balmain blazer is the way that it makes you feel. As soon as you put on a Balmain blazer, you feel really confident, powerful, a boss lady. You feel like you can fire or hire anyone that you want, and you walk around with your back a little bit straighter, chest up, standing and walking taller. There's just something about it which, you know, it's a placebo effect. I realise that it accentuates what you already have. I just feel so put together. Even if I was wearing a more slobbish outfit or something that, like I mentioned before, was very simple, like a t-shirt and jeans, putting a Balmain blazer over it just elevates the whole look, both from the outside and in. I think for the few pieces of ready-to-wear that I personally have in my collection, the Balmain blazer, while up there in price, is one of those items that I can actually get a daily dose of luxury out of. You know, especially in the winter time where it can be a little bit soul-destroying not to be able to wear your nice dresses. I have a lot of lovely D&G Zimmermann dresses. Those luxury pieces I don't get that much wear out of, but if I'm able to supplement it with a Balmain blazer, I'm able to kind of do two birds in one stone. I'm able to wear out those dresses a little bit longer than it just being a hot summer's day, but also style it with something that is giving me that daily dose of luxury, that's making me feel like $1,000,000. And finally, what I really love about this blazer is that it is very understated for what it is and how much it costs. And I know some people will say this is a con because they might want the whole world and their grandmas and their dogs to know how much this blazer costs. But I think in today's world where there's crazy inflation, there's a lot of theft and things going on, and I don't want to personally be a target, I like the fact that only people who are in the know about this blazer. And I think it's something that, because it is not full of logos, etc., it doesn't look tacky, it doesn't look cheap. And, you know, even against another plain blazer that I'm wearing now, this one from Zara, I mean, that Zara makes a lot of kind of dupes of this blazer, you can still tell it apart. It is not a blazer that is easily, in my opinion, replicated, even though many brands have tried. And with luxury, there is always an element of, whether people like it or not, intend it or not, a flex involved. And I just like the fact that regardless of how you all feel about luxury and, you know, logo mania and all that business, that this one, even if it is a flex, workmanship, style, etc., I love the fact that it is not super in your face. And when you wear it, you know, you get a few people that walk by and nod at you like, I know this blazer, I know that's a Balmain blazer. And I've gone to many a luxury store where the sales associates have said, oh, that's a Balmain blazer. They just know the cut, even when there's no labels and logos attached to it. And I think that's something quite cool. Now let's move on to cons, of which I do have a few, just to be super fair and super transparent. So for my first con, I want to talk about the variability in a number of factors on this blazer to do with the sizing, the quality, and the price. So let's talk about fit first, for which I will get this white one as an example just to show you. The fit of this one is actually, I think I got this one in a size 36, and I actually got this one also in a size 36, but I must say this one fits a lot looser around the shoulder areas, which obviously you have to get right, compared to this one, which is a little bit tighter. Now granted, I'm a lady who likes to work out, I go to the gym, I lift weights, so naturally my shoulder area is going to be a little bit tighter than the normal person who doesn't. But for some reason, this one was one that I had a lot more room in when I wear it compared to this one, which is a little bit tighter and can be uncomfortable. So I always have to bear in mind when I buy a new blazer, I need to try it on first. And in fact, just to amplify that point further, the third blazer that I have, technically speaking, but I gave to my mum, that was actually in a size EU 34, so that is like a size 0 or size UK 6, right? So that is tiny, and yet that fits the same as this one. It can be annoying because obviously if you buy it online and maybe it's a no refunds kind of thing, or no exchanges even, you're gonna have a bit of faff, so some people might find that a bit of a con. And then in addition to that, obviously I mentioned the variability in the quality. So holding these up, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but this one is markedly heavier. Now, I'm not saying, of course, by that extension, that this is a cheaper, you know, bad quality blazer. Certainly as prices increase, that's just one thing just to keep aware of. And again, I would recommend to circumvent that and any worries on this, go ahead and try on a blazer, because they all weigh differently. They may distribute the weight differently, they may feel differently, or they certainly fit differently. And then obviously you get, like I mentioned, finally the variable prices. Obviously that can be because it's from a certain collection, which is a little bit more limited edition, or it can be in a harder to find material. But again, it's a personal preference thing. I personally like the plain ones, so they tend to be cheaper, so less of an issue. And you can always, like I mentioned, in the pros, get them for a discount. I would never pay full price for these blazers, especially since I haven't to date. And then the final one is around more of the, I guess, the intangibles, but still very important, and that is the customer experience, or rather specifically, the rude customer service. Now, I'm sure you've probably all seen the nightmare videos. Certainly Sophie Shohet's video caught my eye around, you know, Balmain called me fat. I've personally never had necessarily like bad sales associate experiences at Balmain, though to be fair, they have been very limited. In fact, I bought this blazer at Harrods in that boutique, the specific one I think Sophie Shohet had the bad experience in. That was a year or so later. I didn't have a bad experience. In fact, I had a nice one. Or in fact, even beyond that point, you know, other experiences with Balmain have not been particularly noteworthy, so nothing particularly good or bad to write home about, but certainly not rude experiences. However, because of that video, and just to minimize sales associate grief, especially if I'm not going to buy something then and there, just a general rule of thumb for me, I will always look online first. I can usually always get a better discount online, and that was certainly true for this blazer right here, because, you know, in Balmain, it's not like Chanel where there's so many people going in and out that you can be a fly on the wall and just blend in. They do stare at you. The boutique is not that big, I think, in Harrods, and if I'm not buying anything, then I'm just gonna scoot on out and look online, because online I have the benefit of my own time, looking at things at my own leisure, and without the judgment of other people. So I can't comment on the customer service element, but I know it's something that, especially it's a French thing, I feel like, bad stereotype probably, because I've met some really nice French people, but on the whole I think there's just a snooty attitude. And obviously Balmain is a French fashion house, so a lot of people feel very overwhelmed to go into the boutique. So what I would suggest is, you know, if you do see someone very, very friendly, go and speak to them. If you find everybody in the store is very aggy and judgmental, I mean, to be fair, you don't know them, they don't know you. Once you're done with the interaction, everybody goes back to being strangers. So if you want to try a blazer on and inquire about it, go ahead and just hold your head up high, because what they're doing is very petty. But if you're really not comfortable, then go online. So pros and cons aside, let's assume that you are looking into getting yourself a Balmain blazer. I just have a couple of tips for you around, you know, how to approach sizing and things like that, because obviously sizing is one of the biggest issues I think people have. So obviously Balmain and other third-party retailers out there will have size guides. They go European, and obviously they have conversions for where you are in the world. For me personally, I am usually a size 36 European in most things, especially the blazers. That I think equates to like a UK size 8 or something, or maybe even a 6. Obviously you can do some measurements in line with the size guide, but if you're able to go in store and try them on, I'd always recommend taking your usual size, and then, you know, if it's tight around the shoulder area, because that's the area where it needs to fit the best, and because it, you know, it gives you movement, then you want to make sure that if it's too tight in your usual size, that you size up. I would never size down for something that is tight on the shoulders. Even if the bottom is big, it is better to have it big, and you can, you know, wear it open, or you could potentially even go to the tailoring route if you really want a tight fit down here, in case you have a kind of similar shaped body to me. But I personally find, even with kind of like a kite shaped body, it's not a big issue to have this the chest bit a bit bigger and, you know, the waist bit a little bit looser, because the shoulders absolutely must fit, because otherwise it looks very tight, it doesn't look nice, and ultimately you're going to be very uncomfortable. With that all being said, I will leave this video here. I hope you found today's Balmain 101 video helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think a Balmain blazer is worth the money? Do you have one? Will you be considering adding one to your collection? And if you have any other just general queries about, you know, wear and tear or maintenance, that kind of thing, leave them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to help. But anyways, I will leave it here. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.